In 1939 in Texas, there was a boy named Garrett who was very genius. He worked as a shoe shiner while being a spy and eavesdropping on all white people's conversations about matters related to business. He recorded everything that was considered important in a small book and reported it to his father.
Use a 6 multiplier to value.
That's too high.
His father was happy with the abilities that Garrett had, but he thought that ability would not be able to help him because they were only black people. At that time in America, discrimination against black people was very strong, especially in Texas. Black people were considered to have lower degrees and were not allowed to enjoy the same public facilities as white people. Even so, Garrett continued to dream of becoming a successful person and tried to make it happen.
What do you think them white folks would do if they knew you was...
Maybe not in Texas.
In 1954, Garrett was now married. He married Eunice and had a young son named Bernard Jr. One day, they moved to Los Angeles and lived by renting a modest place belonging to Eunice's uncle named Deacon. Deacon offered Garrett to work for an airline company that employed black people, but Garrett refused, because his goal in Los Angeles was to try to do business in the housing sector. Deacon's son named Tony was surprised to hear that because black people rarely became real estate agents, Deacon greatly underestimated Garrett's decision, but Garrett did not waver in his aim.
Well, thank you, sir, but I came here to try my hand at real estate. You'll get your rent the first of every month.
The next day, Garrett drove Tony to work. There he met Tony's friend named Matt. Matt was white, but he was poor and was not racist towards black people. Matt even considered Garrett a rich man because he had a car. They split up and Garrett started to go survey housing locations. He paid attention to the building owned by Barker and wanted to buy it, but the price was very expensive. Garrett admitted that he could buy it, but his money was not enough to pay for the repairs. Eunice, who heard this, suggested looking for investors, and she introduced Garrett to Morris. They then became acquainted, but Garrett did not seem to like Morris's personality.
Yeah, look at you!
Oh, stop it.
Pleased to meet you, Garrett.
No, I'm Bernard.
He refused to work together with him.
Well, the building needs renovations to unlock its value.
Garrett then met with Barker to negotiate, but failed. He did not stop trying and was finally able to get a loan from Reed to buy the Barker building.
Hi, I'm Bernard Garrett. I'd like to speak with Mr. Reed, please.
Well, do you want this loan or not?
I'm boy in Texas, sir.
I didn't ask for your biography, Mr. Garrett.
Shortly thereafter, Garrett started work on renovating several parts of the building. He invited Tony and Matt to work there. Matt, who was not racist, didn't have a problem even if he had to work for black people, as long as he could be paid the appropriate fee.
Oh, your money's green. That's the only concern about color I got.
One of the tenants in the building was named Mrs. Cooper. She was very racist. After learning that the building was owned by black people, Mrs. Cooper decided to move. Garrett's business began to run, and Barker began to pay attention to Garrett because of his abilities. He then invited Garrett to work together with a 50-50 profit-sharing system, but all contracts were carried out by Barker. Garrett agreed, and they started doing business together.
50-50.
Their business seemed to be going well, and Garrett had been able to move his family to a nice house.
This place is beautiful.
When the situation began to improve, suddenly Barker died and his wife demanded to cancel the collaboration with Garrett because of racism. Unfortunately, Garrett did not get the results according to the agreement with Barker because his name was not in the contract.
I'm happy running the buildings on my own.
Your name doesn't appear on any of the deeds.
When he was in trouble, Garrett had an idea to buy a bank building. Garrett then approached Morris and asked him to work together. Morris agreed, but he said they would not make it because they were black people.
Eunice told me you had 2 or 3 income-producing buildings.
It's gonna be about property in white neighborhood.
Garrett then had the idea to use a white person who would represent them for transactions. Garrett entrusted that role to Matt and asked him to work for him. But Matt, who had been poor since childhood, did not understand banking at all. When Matt thought about it, he met Susie, his former high school classmate. The meeting motivated him to accept Garrett's offer.
You sure?
Just teach me what I need to know. I won't lay it down.
Garrett and Morris began training Matt. Garrett taught him mathematics and banking matters, while Morris taught him to play golf. Apart from that, Eunice also taught Matt about table manners. Matt started spending his days getting lessons from them. After some time had passed, Matt was good at playing golf and was able to answer the questions asked by Garrett correctly. He was considered ready for action. Shortly thereafter, Garrett and Morris arranged for Matt to play golf with Charles Renault, the owner of a bank building that was their target.
You should try it sometime.
Matt seemed to play golf well and impressed Charles Renault. The day where Matt and Charles Renault meet to make a transaction finally arrived. Previously, Garrett had told Matt about the important matters to negotiate.
20 cents a square foot. It's poppy. He'll see straight through you.
During the meeting, Matt managed to negotiate smoothly and calculate very fast so as to impress Charles Renault.
$1,383,000 value.
Not what I expected, Matt Steiner.
The transaction was then successful. In fact, Matt from the start admitted that he could not calculate complicated things, so he memorized all the numbers in his head. Garrett and Morris started off well and Matt continued to make deals for them. One day, Garrett brought his family to visit his father's house in Texas. His father looked very happy and said he was proud of Garrett. The next day Garrett walked around the city while carrying his son. He saw that the city of Texas was still full of discrimination against black people, even public facilities were made separate. Seeing this, Garrett had another idea. He wanted to buy a bank in Texas and invited Morris to work together again. Morris knew that the original intention of Garrett was to help the lives of black people there. He was hesitant to cooperate.
That bank is undervalued.
We can't set foot in a bank in Texas.
Even so, Morris finally agreed. Not long after, Matt returned to being the person who would make the transaction. They wanted to buy a bank called Mainland from Robert Florence. The transaction was successful, but Robert Florence's son, Robert Florence Jr., looked a little suspicious and paid attention to Matt.
But this is the investment they're closing today.
After becoming a Mainland bank owner, Garrett began rounding up bank officials and changing the rules regarding black lending policies, which allowed black people to get loans to buy homes and do business. Some black people seemed to have felt the impact of the loan and made their business smooth. In the midst of that success, Robert Florence Jr. started to move and watched Matt. Matt then reported it to Garrett, and at that time their meeting was seen by Robert Florence Jr., who was stalking Matt. At home, Matt also seemed to be under pressure from his wife. Some time ago Matt married Susie and brought her to Texas. Susie apparently was one of the racists who despised black people. Susie urged Matt not to become a paid worker but to be the owner of the bank.
So we all agree the barbecue place is a good bet, right?
One day, when Garrett, Morris and Matt were having a discussion at Garrett's house in Texas, Robert Florence Jr. came and revealed everything he knew about the loans Garrett and Morris had made to black people.
That's you and Vice President Johnson, if I'm not mistaken.
He also informed that the U.S. Financial Audit Bureau would come there early because someone reported that they had made an unsecured loan. They then returned to the discussion at Matt's house. There, Susie showed her discrimination by disrespecting Garrett and Morris. When the discussion took place, Matt offered to buy another bank, which was the Bank of Marlin. He explained his idea so that he could continue to provide loans to black people through that bank. Garrett and Morris seemed to object, especially after Matt said that this time he would actually run the bank.
Joe has to spend his time in LA overseeing our property.
I can't become my own man here, then I think I need to resign and go back to work.
But Garrett and Morris were forced to agree and they bought the Bank of Marlin. There, Matt became the new owner, and Eunice watched over him under the guise of a janitor. As the days rolled on, Matt signed several loan contracts after being reviewed by his attorney. From the mainland, Robert Florence Jr. called and said there were some white people who wanted to withdraw all their money from the bank because they suspected that the bank was owned by black people who wanted to advance their people. While Garrett was having discussions with Morris to discuss the matter, Matt called that the examiner from the Bureau of Financial Audit came and brought their primary bookkeeper. The auditor would be back in an hour.
I'm an examiner with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency.
To get the master books out, he's coming back in an hour.
Eunice then discussed with Garrett and suggested him to be near Matt, but it was difficult to do because he was black. Eunice then suggested Garrett to be disguised as a janitor like herself, but Garrett refused. This made them tense, but in the end Garrett was forced to do it. He watched Matt being reviewed by the examiner while pretending to work. The examiner seemed to notice Garrett and closed the door, assuming what they were discussing was something highly confidential.
You made an actual joke.
What else can I do?
Matt then had trouble and started to get nervous when he had to answer the questions asked by the examiner. The examiner then found several problematic loan documents.
And this one, what?
Matt, who had difficulty, then took the documents to Garrett and Morris. Garrett, who saw the documents, immediately wondered why there were loans even though he always checked them first. Matt admitted that he had agreed to the loan and that his ignorance had gotten them into trouble. In addition, Matt admitted that he did not use a lawyer who had been trusted by Garrett and Morris, but instead used a lawyer recommended by Robert Florence Jr. They then continued the discussion elsewhere, but the problem was already very complicated and the Bank of Marlin was in danger of being closed. Now, Garrett and Morris would only focus on mainland and asked Matt to do the same.
The president's office, so they won't pull the deposits.
The next day, Morris received news that all of Marlin's debts and problems had been paid off because someone had paid off his bad loan. It turned out that it was the mainland that paid off Marlin's debt, and that surprised Morris. Garrett and Morris immediately went to Matt on the mainland and questioned what Matt had done. Matt admitted that he did it because he intended to save the two banks. Meanwhile, Garrett knew that if it continued like that, the two banks would fail.
It's just temporary.
It's fraud.
No, if we class it. All I did.
He immediately ordered Matt to take the main bookkeeping, but suddenly the Financial Audit Bureau came. They immediately met Matt, who played the role of president of the mainland bank, and announced that they had revoked the banking license for the mainland bank. In addition, they also fired Matt.
The department has closed this bank until further notice.
Garrett and Morris, who were dizzy, then came out of the bank and instead were visited by the FBI, who intended to arrest them. Garrett asked why they were detained, but the FBI did not answer. Morris complied to be handcuffed, but Garrett rebelled, so the FBI did it in a rough way. The news quickly spread around town that two black men had bought two banks full of white man's money and made loans to black people. In addition, there was a senator named McClellan who submitted an agreement so that they could survive the trial. At the same time, Matt was also meeting with McClellan. McClellan told Matt what he had to say in court so that Matt could escape prison prosecution. What McClellan asked to say was not in accordance with the facts and would harm Garrett and Morris.
Misuse of bank funds is a crime.
It's more complicated than that. They were my employers. I carried out their wishes to the letter.
A trial for Matt was held, and there Matt said what McClellan ordered. After that, McClellan persuaded Garrett and Morris so that they said according to his orders in court if they wanted to pass. Garrett apparently disobeyed McClellan and instead made the trial an uproar because Garrett said all the things he wanted to say. He spoke that black people were always discriminated against and their right to life was limited. This then made all white jurors sentence Garrett and Morris to 3 years in prison.
And you're excluded from the American dream.
The government then confiscated all of their assets, except for one building bearing the name Eunice. Meanwhile, Robert Florence Jr., who had always secretly made it difficult for Garrett, returned to buy the mainland bank. After 3 years of detention, Garrett was released. He was picked up by Eunice and Morris, who was already free. There, Garrett confessed to Eunice that Matt had previously called him. Matt admitted that he would be jailed for 50 years if he refused the deal with McClellan. Matt was forced to comply, but before the trial, Garrett ordered Matt to do something. Thanks to that, Garrett and Morris still owned two adjoining buildings on the island of the Bahamas. They then went there and again started a business empire before returning to America.